Hello, everybody. This is Dr. David Suarez, Rich Gasfari, and we have Debra Becker on here. This is our second podcast. Please follow and like and subscribe. This is Brains and Brawn. Today, we're going to talk about nutrition and how important it is to your health and wellness. I have Debra Becker here, who is a mom of three. She has a master's in education and art. She's an IFBB pro for about 4 years, and she's been a personal trainer and nutrition coach for around 5 years. So Debra, why don't you tell us a little bit about Icandy, what made you start it, and a little bit about yourself.
Yes, I was a personal trainer, like you said, and I'd always found that nutrition was the missing link. So I can train somebody extensively, but if they didn't go home and eat properly, I got very frustrated because they weren't reaching their goals. So I literally started with a gentleman that was very overweight, high blood pressure, diabetes, had some severe allergies. And I wrote him a meal plan while I was personal training. He needed to lose 100 pounds. He was about 400 pounds. Long story short, he lost about 75 pounds from me just writing a meal plan within 4 months. And then all of a sudden he starts gaining weight. He's a little bit on the spectrum. And he told me, I'm embarrassed to tell you, but me and my mother got into an argument and she's no longer making my meals. Hence, this is how Icandy Meals has started. I started shopping around meal prep companies and I couldn't find anything that would fit this client's needs. Either the sodium was too high, the protein wasn't correct, the carbohydrates weren't correct. And literally, I just partnered up with the chef and he said, tell me the proteins, the carbohydrates that he prefers. You tell me the amount of ounces and grams, and then we'll make it. And literally, that's how it started. I started taking this to clients that I personal trained, and it just became to this level now.
That's awesome. Rich, do you have any experience with these meal prep companies?
I mean, I've been with a lot of meal prep companies. It's amazing because, like she said, unless you're really into like cooking your meals, if you're dedicated to that, a lot of people they're not, and so you end up. I mean, even myself, who's an avid trainer, bodybuilder, I don't have time to cook. And a lot of times it's so much easier just to have a meal prep to get your food and what you want to get in. So I think it's great. I've had a great experience with some. I had bad experience with others. You want to make sure that the meals are fresh. They're healthy. Some of these meal prep companies they may say they're healthy, but they're not super healthy, or they have, or the ones that are super healthy have no flavor. I'm now where I'm not this pro bodybuilder that just wants to eat chicken and rice. I want to have some flavor to my food. So I saw that her meals got some, good flavor to them, and they're healthy, low in fat, complex carbs, quality protein. I mean, that's what's important, because any person that starts a diet that is just used to like her client is not going to sit there and eat just chicken and rice, or a sweet potato and chicken, or just grilled fish, or they're going to want something flavorful, to wean them off the bad food, the fried foods, a lot of those things. So I think you got something great there in what you're doing.
I've noticed, obviously, trying to offer more to our patients. We've probably been through 5 or 6 different meal prep companies at this point. And like you're saying, either they said they were healthy and they're not, they didn't taste well, they didn't prepare easy. And then, I'm one of those people, although health is my life, I go through my spurts, like right now for the spring and for the summer, I'm a lot more strict. So what do? Luckily, I'm married and I have a wife that's going to be in the kitchen. So what do? I give her my calorie restrictions. She goes on there. She measures everything out for me. It's a pain in the butt. I couldn't do it myself. I don't have the hours to do it. But luckily, I do have someone that can prepare it for me. And that's the whole convenience of something like this. So not only are you able to get the food that tastes the way you want it to, but you get the proper proportions of all the different combinations of food that you really need. And the problem when you're doing a restrictive diet, like you said, you tend to stick to what you know, rice and chicken. Well, that's why people don't last on weight loss programs, because they don't change their life. They just change what they eat. And when you're only dealing with 5 or 6 different options, it gets very boring very fast. And that's what I really liked with Debra's options. Not only does she have a large variety, and you have all these different options of whether you want to get 5 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 3 meals a day, but you can actually add in extra protein, extra carbs, depending on what you're looking to do. And I found that a lot of other companies don't offer you those options either. So Debra, I know you've been doing this with your clients. What have you found is the most common thing that you're hearing from them at this point?
As far as feedback or what their goal is? Feedback is variety and fun. And I'm going to give you a perfect example. I'm starting to get a lot of kids because we do a lot of great things with Belgium style waffles. So we take a typical Belgium style waffle and we pump it up with protein. They're anywhere from 18 to 24 grams of protein, but we make them fun. So instead of having just the bland protein waffle, we make them red velvet, we make them peanut butter. So now the kids are starting to jump on the bandwagon because they really love it too. We do amazing things with overnight oats. So just offering one flavor, we probably offer about 25 different flavors. So we try to keep it interesting because we want to have our clients, you know, receive their goals, whatever it is, and we want to keep them on the plan long term. And we try, variety is our biggest thing. So people really love that. And honestly, if weight loss is their goal, there's not one client yet that has followed my plan that has not gotten weight loss. So it has results with real food.
Well, one of the reasons why we wanted to work together is I did like that you have those different options. So the main 3 categories you have are get lean, get healthy, and get green. Why don't you talk a little bit about those?
Get lean is more of a restrictive diet where we're really restricting the carbohydrates, more of a keto style if that's what the client prefers, because some clients come to me and they know exactly what they want, what works for their body. I don't disagree with them. If they feel like they know their body better, then I'm going to give them what they need. That's really where the get lean would be, more of a keto style diet. Get healthy is more of a lifestyle diet for more balanced portion control clients. And the get green is more of the vegan. So we have things from black bean burgers to seitan to tempeh to tofu. Again, just trying to make it as interesting as we can.
And again, I think that's where the variety really is important, because a lot of these companies, obviously most people are worried about the allergies, but to have the different type of options that you can go vegan, that you could more of have a balance instead of just kind of being restrictive. What I have seen from the medical side is, I tell you, I find the keto to be disastrous long term. People think that it's healthy. They do get a short-term weight loss, but if you stay on it too long, your cholesterols go through the roof. And Absolutely. A lot of people, it actually throws your oxidative stress into a high level. And I have a hard time reversing people off keto metabolically after they're off. What about you, Rich? Have you seen that also?
I totally agree with you. I think that a keto diet is really unhealthy, but I mean, just people that it will help them lose weight because, and it's not a low carb diet. It's actually a high fat, moderate protein, 0 carb diet. Right. That I've seen results of people losing weight on it. I mean, eating like sticks of butter or like a big thing of cheese, you know, like some disgusting meal that they have to eat. I don't see the benefits. I mean, you know, I love to like fluctuate carbohydrates on a diet. You know, if I'm on a diet, you know, normally for me, it's 40-40-20 is like, for me, optimum, having complex carbs to protein, or even 35 to 45, 35 protein, 45 complex carbs, and, you know, the rest in fat. And then fluctuating carbs up and down to get someone to lose body fat. But I just don't feel a keto diet is a healthy diet.
It's one of those fads. I feel that a lot of people have to try it. So I don't think it's bad in the short term, but I think we all know, being in the health industry, you have to do everything in moderation.
Yeah.
And but I have a hard time reversing people after they get those metabolic changes from that keto. I'm bigger on the paleo end. I find that, especially when it comes to muscle mass, it's very rare that you can see someone maintain that muscle mass without animal protein. And I just find it's a more natural way to eat, that you're just basically taking the nutrients right from the earth, right? So that's always been my preference. So I do more of a modified paleo. But the beauty of having an Icandy, I can kind of alternate that too. So I really enjoy those different options.
I mean, even I believe in, like, once in a while going vegan. I'll go vegan, and get a vegan dinner or something. It's not like I'm against even the vegan diet. I think like you said, mixing up your diet for me seems to work. But it's always been, calories in, calories out. If you're taking less calories than you're expending, you're going to eventually lose weight in a very slow process, and try to make it, lose it very quickly.
It's really funny. I had a patient call me today. So we're optimizing his hormones, optimizing his supplements. And then he's like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I just can't seem to lose weight. And I said, okay, well, let's discuss your diet. Oh, well, I'm not really being too careful in my diet. I'm kind of eating everything.
Yeah.
So what do you expect me to do for you? Like, it's what you're putting in, right? So I can't change that. It doesn't matter what you're doing, as your hormones and your supplements. If you're not putting the right fuel in, you're not going to get those results. But a lot of times in this day, a lot of people want medicine to do the job for them. I always get a better result when I'm eating it from food instead of taking it from a vitamin. And I think that's a big misunderstanding also. People don't understand the reason why they're called supplements is because they're giving you things that you're not able to get out of the food. So a lot of times vegetarians tend to need a higher protein because it's really hard to get those high proteins from that vegetarian diet. And that's because they don't know how to combine their proteins to make a higher protein diet. And I think, why don't you talk about that a little bit with your vegan increasing protein on that?
Yeah, that's always the focus, I think, of every vegan client I have, is they're just not getting enough protein. So again, we make it fun. Like I said, we do a black bean burger. We'll just add beans wherever we can. We'll get that protein content. We really focus to get about 20 grams of protein in each meal, vegan or non-vegan. So again, like if they have 3 meals a day or 4 meals a day, we really try to hit that mark depending on their activity level, because I do take that into account too. So depending on how active they are, they need different macros for somebody that's more of a sedentary type of person. But my vegans get immediate results because now they actually feel better. Their energy feels better, because I think that's the missing link that they're not getting, is the protein. But again, we have things like tofu, seitan, and tempeh, where, some vegans have never even had that before. So I'll throw a meal or two in, and now they have the experience of having something different that they've never tried. We even have things like strictly pescatarians where they only eat fish. They're vegans, and vegans can go a lot of different ways too, because they can, be dairy free. We have gluten free. We even have vegan cheese that we add to their diet. So again, their options are endless with the vegan plan.
I remember when I first went out to California, I was in Palm Springs, and I went to a franchise restaurant called Yard House, and they had this thing on the menu, Gardein, and they call it your boneless chicken wings, and it says chicken substitute. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. How is it a boneless chicken wing if it's not even a real chicken? And then I asked them to bring it out. Could you bring it out grilled for me? And they're like, really? Like, we don't normally do that. We fry it. So they grilled it for me. All they did was put some spices on it, and I was amazed how good it was. The texture really was like chicken. And, me being a total carnivore, I get very shocked at some of those meat substitutes. Like I did fall in love with the bean burgers. I can't always eat them because sometimes they overload them with things that aren't really healthy, and my body can pick them out right away. And also, I'm not big on mushrooms, so if it's high density in mushrooms, my tongue automatically picks them out of the food, and I can't eat it. Now, I also noticed that you have a big stress in the amount of meals that you suggest for people to eat. You know, whether it's 3 meals a day, 4 meals a day, 5 meals a day. What have you noticed as far as results when it comes to the amount of meals that they're eating per day?
Again, I take a lot of things into account when I'm planning someone's meals. You know, again, activity level is important. I'm not going to give the same client the same amount of meals for somebody that's sedentary as opposed to somebody that's active and that's working out. But I really am old school, and I believe in the philosophy that the human body is like a fireplace, and we want to keep throwing wood into that fire to keep your metabolism firing. So yes, calorie deficit is still important, but if we're really feeding, giving it smaller meals, I prefer 4 to 6 meals on most of my clients. Again, most clients are very hesitant about that, so I try to take that into consideration. But I find anything I give them, whether it's 3, 4, or 5, they get the results that they're seeking because we can lower the calories in some of the meals.
It's interesting because a lot of people don't understand that you normally are going on a train or a bus and you see this guy that looks like a bodybuilder and he's always carrying a lunchbox with him, and you're going in the morning and he starts eating a chicken breast. You're like, wow, this guy's eating all day. How could this guy be so lean? And people don't really get that your metabolism is higher, so you need to eat more frequently instead of the opposite. And then a lot of that has changed in our society. So now people understand that you need more meals. What I have noticed is it's definitely more independent on your metabolism. Some people do very well with eating 1 meal a day. Not every day, but just that's how your metabolism is set up. Other people do well with, eating certain time periods of the day. Like sometimes just eating it for a breakfast and a lunch, where they do really well. And I usually tell most of my patients, you don't want to have too many complex carbs at night because you're not doing anything at night. So you want to make sure 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, that's your last complex carb. You don't need anything after that. Are you really going to the gym at 10 o'clock at night every night? When I was younger, I might be able to do that, but not anymore. So let's see what else. What about you, Rich? What has your experience been with the amount of meals?
I mean, I'm old school where, frequent meals, 6 meals a day was when I got, super lean. I was known for being the most ripped bodybuilder in, my era that set the standards to the sport today. First striated glutes. So it was all about diet, and diet to me is I studied dieting way back when people didn't. I followed a gluten-free diet. I saw that having gluten in my meals caused me, even though I wasn't, say I was gluten sensitive, everybody's gluten sensitive slightly. And by having gluten in my diet, I saw that I held more water, where I took gluten totally out of my diet, I saw a big difference. I've always seen where my body's metabolism got faster, eating more frequently through the day. Now, I mean, there's a big trend on now this intermittent fasting. I mean, what do you think of it? I've seen people get great results in not eating for a certain period of time, all morning, and then start eating at 12 or 1 o'clock in the afternoon and have only, say, 3 meals, and I've seen guys like, of course, like heavy guys are losing weight, but I've seen in shape people follow intermittent diet, intermittent fasting, and I've seen results, and I'm kind of like, I'm flabbergasted because these are people that were heavy and now they're in great shape. They train, empty stomach. I train every morning now differently, where I used to always have to have a meal. I do go to the gym in the morning on an empty stomach, but the night before I do take a protein shake because I figure that'll turn into glycogen. The night before for my morning training, I'll have a small piece of fruit. I'll have amino acids, for supplementation, branch chains. I'll take pre-workout, and then I'll go to the gym and train on an empty stomach, heavy weights, and get great results, staying lean. But I don't know what what you think about intermittent fasting.
I've seen mixed results. I think any type of fasting is good as long as it's short term.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes, like I said, going down to one meal a day or even totally missing meals for a day it's a good cleanse for your body to kind of catch up. But anything that you do for a prolonged period of time is eventually going to catch up to you. I think for a lot of people, it's training them to eat at better times.
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of people kind of get messed up with the intermittent fasting component, how it brings them back to normal. Because if you're eating, you start off your day at 6:30 in the morning, and then you're eating 2 hours later, and 2 hours later, you might be eating 6 meals a day. But if you're not watching while you're eating on those 6 meals a day, it's not going to really help you. So where the intermittent fasting is really kind of help people regulate what they're eating and when they're eating. And the most successful intermittent planning, intermittent dieting is kind of what I'm doing with my patients also. You're generally eating 8 to 10 hours of your day. That's intermittent fasting. That's normal. If you're cutting that time period, that's a little bit different. But if you're really sleeping anywhere from, now I don't sleep long anymore, but I never really slept more than 4 or 5 hours a day. If you're sleeping, you figure 7 hours a day, right? It's only leaving you a certain amount of time of your day that you have to eat and go to work or do some activity. So if you figure I pretty much do something in the gym or some sort of exercise every day, so you figure that's another hour and a half out of your day. So that already brings you up to 8.5 hours. How many hours left of your day do you have to eat? There's only going to be around 15 and a half hours. That's where the intermittent fast component comes in. So out of that 15 hours left, now most people are sleeping 8 hours, right? So now you're already going to have 16 hours left. They're working. How many of those active hours do you have? And that's where I think the taking that break in the morning, because most people want to eat that dinner because it's a social component, right? So that's why they skip their breakfast. I don't feel like I need a heavy meal in the morning to get my day going. So I generally have something small in the morning. I usually have a protein shake. I have a cup of oatmeal. And then after that, I start really eating heavier around lunch. And then my dinner is usually just a protein and a green vegetable. So anything that I'm really eating that has any significant caloric intake is generally going to be from 10 o'clock to 3 o'clock. And then after that, it's usually just a protein. And it's, my dinner does not have to be heavy either. Because again, I'm not doing much after that. I'm playing with my son and doing homework or, coaching something at night. So I think number one, you have to really understand what your schedule is. And number two, you still have to have that balanced nutrition. And number three, I think you have to understand the ins and outs of what you're putting in and what you're getting out. What about you? What do you think with the intermittent fasting, Debra?
I find like I agree with both of you. I feel like the majority, again, I can only speak for my clients, they'll tell me I'm doing intermittent fasting. And the first question I'll ask them, how's it going? It's not working for them. I think the problem is because it's so difficult to do it hard. And the biggest problem that I hear from them is that first meal of the day, they lost all their control. They're just so hungry and they're so famished. They can't have, they can't have any self-control. So that's usually the biggest issue. That's why I start them on multiple meals a day, because I find that really works for them. And for me, I just feel like it's too much of a mental challenge for them. So this way they're a little bit happier. They're eating a couple meals throughout the day, every couple of hours. Again, my only golden rule is that you eat every 3 to 5 hours. Try not to go under 3 hours and try not to go over 5 hours. And they really like that. I mean, some clients, I even have them set a timer on their watch if that's what they have to do, or their phone, just to remind them, because we all get distracted during the day. And, I try to get them out of that nighttime binge eating, like you just said, having the carbohydrates late at night. So again, if we're getting a substantial amount of protein during the day and enough calories, hopefully we'll stop that night binging at night.
I tell you, that's probably the hardest thing is that night eating. Because what do we normally do? We're sitting there relaxing. If you're not into health, that's when most people are eating the pretzels and the potato chips while they're watching TV. And one of my big shticks is as I'm doing a weight management program, I'm discussing, well, instead of eating on your couch, why don't you do some stretching? Why don't you do some sit-ups? Why don't you do something active as you're watching TV? And you'll realize that weight's going to come right off. Because
you know
a
what
lot
I
of
do?
times, go ahead. What do you do?
Some of my clients that have that, nighttime binging and they have a goal like a vacation, I tell them, take a picture of yourself that you felt your best, and put it on your refrigerator, put it on the pantry. So this way it reminds you, okay, I want to look like that. What's more important, looking like that or going in the pantry and adding, a couple of handful of chips? So they really like that too.
Yeah, tell them to take a lot of pictures and put it on each cabinet.
Yeah.
My mother used to tie a rope around the refrigerator doors. So then you'd always know if you went in there.
All in all, is if you eat frequently, it does actually speed up your metabolism. It starts to make you hungrier when you start eating more frequently, and it speeds up your metabolism. But you can get that last meal. I would have a meal of like egg whites at nighttime, and I would put in like low carb fruit, like strawberries on top, and make it almost like a dessert, and that was like one of my meals, and I was dieting. So it was still low carb, because the strawberries are very low carb, or,
Right.
I'll use like some sweetener to make it sweet, but I would have that as like my last meal of the day. So it was mostly protein and maybe, 20 carbs, from the strawberries.
I think that I find, which is why I think the whole Icandy platform is so important, is because when people are eating multiple meals a day, the standard, which I don't even know why, is 3 meals a day. But most people understand that you need to eat more than that to increase your metabolism and to have energy throughout the day. The problem is, since they don't know what to eat, they're not eating that healthy component for those 5 meals a day. So they might eat healthy 3 meals, and then those other 2 meals are garbage. Most people don't know what to snack on. A lot of times when I'm doing weight management with a patient, I'm discussing with them, I'm just running around in the middle of the day, work all day. I don't have a chance to prepare my meals. Well, 7-Eleven has yogurt. 7-Eleven has apples and bananas. There's no excuse that you have to go in and you have to eat a sandwich. There's always a healthier option. It's how disciplined do you want to be? And the beautiful part about prepared meals, it takes that stress away from you. When you're going through your cabinets at night and you don't know what to eat, wow, look, I can go in my refrigerator and I know exactly what I'm eating. And I think that's a real blessing. So why don't you tell us about how to prepare your meals, about how easy that is, Debra?
It's as simple as having a microwave, literally. So just popping them in the microwave anywhere from a minute to a minute and a half, depending on, how fast your speeds up. Not everybody loves the microwave. So then I suggest heating them up on a skillet. I even design meal plans for people that don't have access to a microwave during the day, whether they're on the job or they're on a construction site. We'll do things like wraps, cold foods. But 90% of my food is basically you heat it up in a microwave, or again, a skillet.
Convenience is probably the most important part about any.
Absolutely.
I definitely think convenience is, I can't wait to try some of these meals, because like I work all day, and a lot of times when I'm working, I don't, and I'm in my home working remotely. A lot of times it's hard for me to go down, to my kitchen and just start whipping up a meal.
Right.
So just to take a meal.
Nobody has time anymore.
No, it's the way you work. You just don't have time, so I think the meal preps are great. So do these meals, they get shipped anywhere in the state of New Jersey?
We're nationwide. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. Are these, I haven't had your meals, so I can't wait to try them, but are they shrink wrapped in the?
We're working on a couple of things now that we're going to be able to ship it nationally. You're going to have to order it The platform's going to be up very soon. That you'll be able to order it. What do we say? Thursday by midnight.
Thursday midnight.
Be able to get everything by Monday, and that'll be the
Wow.
deadline. So there'll be a countdown of when you could last order it.
And how long do meals last for that you feel? I mean, I always say there's a 3-day rule about, you know, the freshness of meals. I mean, do they last longer than 3 days? Like when when you have certain types of foods?
Yeah, New York Board of Health tells us they're good for a week in the refrigerator. I am a freshness person. I tell my clients, you have to think of this as leftovers. So I personally don't eat leftovers 4 or 5 days in the refrigerator.
Yeah.
I just tell everybody to put everything in the freezer after 2 days. It just makes life easier, especially seafood. You know, it starts to smell fishy over time. So throw it in there. Don't have to worry about it.
That's what I agree. I like it's always the 3-day, mine is the 3-day rule. Once it's after 3 days, it's still probably good, but it starts to, fish starts to smell a little different.
Right.
It doesn't taste as fresh, even though it's still, it's still okay, from the refrigerator. But I mean, that's what I recommend is freezing them after the third, if it's going into the third day.
Because the chef is in New York, so we got to go by New York standards. But I mean, I would never want to trust the government in telling me how long the food is fresh.
Yeah.
Right.
But cool.
And it's easy to cycle out. You just take them from the freezer and just put them in the refrigerator overnight, and they thaw out on their own. So it's a no-brainer. Again, this is really what the meal plan is designed to be, a no-brainer. I don't want my clients thinking. I just want them to be able to pop a meal in the microwave and go about their day.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and I tasted it. We've tried what was it, trifecta and factor meals, and I tell you, I just had her breakfast every day. I couldn't wait to the next day to eat the next breakfast. Like she said with the waffles, we had the velvet, the peanut butter, the oatmeal. What did you put in the oatmeal? That was amazing.
That's our secret recipe. But I will tell you this: we use a lot of stevia to sweeten our things, and we use monk fruit. So we like to take the artificial sweeteners out of things and take out the sugar. So now you're having something that's more natural and it's better for the body to absorb.
Yeah, I've been big on the stevia for a long time. I just find that your body, the people don't understand why it works, but basically it's the sugar sweetness in your mouth, but it doesn't get digested. So you don't have to worry about how much you're using as much as a normal sugar substitute, because you're just getting the taste. You're not really getting the full digestion.
Right.
I agree.
Okay. This is great. I'm really looking forward to working with you and getting Icandy as a national option for meal prep. You also, we didn't really even discuss, you specialize in all types of nutrition, right? So from bodybuilding to just
absolutely
your everyday mom and pop that just wants to eat a little bit healthier. And I think that affordable option is just something that right now we're all looking for, the way the prices are going through the roof.
Right. And we, like you said, we have an option on the website that we're building that it's going to be labeled Get Strong. And what Get Strong is for more of the competitor, where they have their macros done already. Maybe their coach gave it to them. They can just go online and pick how many ounces of grilled chicken they want, how many ounces of basmati rice, whatever it is. So they can plug in their own information and the food is shipped to their house.
And on that note, that's how we talk about the Gasfari app, his ageless app that we're going to be using for our clients. When they join our programs, they're going to be able to use the nutritional coaching on there that will calibrate what they need to eat. And then we're going to be able to shoot it right over to Icandy. So they're going to be able to prepare the meals directly from the app, which is amazing.
Great.
So I think
it's great because I'm sorry. So yeah. So like I always try to tell my clients, they say, can you give me a diet to tone up? I said, no, you have to get to the gym. The gym is the only thing that's going to tone you up. They don't understand that you need nutrition, you need the gym, you need supplements. It all has to fit together like a puzzle to make it all in sync. And that's what I love about this program that's starting to happen.
Exactly. It's all pieces together that make it work. You can't have one without the other.
Exactly.
But definitely, it's like I said with the training app. I'm going to give you what to do, what to eat, but then you know, someone has to sit there and cook it, and they maybe be lazy, you know, to cook it. So if it's there on their doorstep, they're going to just warm it up.
No excuses.
There's no excuse to get themselves in shape. So it's a great trifecta of, you know, training, the right nutrition, and having the food themselves made, you know, for your, just handed to you. Like, nobody has a good wife like you to just making your, you know, all your meals.
I'm very lucky.
I certainly don't right now, so I'll need it.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Debra. All right.
Thank you.
And, don't forget to subscribe, like us, and this is Dr. Dave, Rich, and Debra for Brains and Brawn. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
guys.
you.